everyone, to the kickoff of our Represent Me AZ Grassroots Super PAC. We're super excited to have you. And before I go any further, I want to introduce the board of our Super PAC. I'm Marion Chubon, and I'm the president. And Kristen Randall, she's the vice president. And Lizzie Berman is the treasurer. We take very good care of her money. And Teresa Zimmerman, she's our secretary. And Dee Dee Kanan in True Artist Forum didn't want to come in and be introduced, but she's out at the table. She's our art director. She's responsible for the logo, which, amazing. Okay, we want to really thank you for coming to our event tonight. And we want to thank you for the enthusiasm that we've experienced as an organization. This is how the evening's going to go. So I'm just going to say a quick couple things about Represent Me AZ, and just a teeny bit about how we formed in our history. I think a lot of you have been there since the beginning. And then the candidates are going to introduce themselves. They have 5 minutes. Unfortunately, no question and answer. Sorry, folks. But after the event, you'll definitely have a chance to speak with them some more. And then we are going to go into much more detail about Represent Me AZ and who we are and what our mission is and why we're doing what we're doing. And then we're going to break into work groups, and we have committees set up, and we will ask you to sign up for committees and give us your contact information so that we can be in communication with you. And then at the end, we will ask you to turn in your volunteer and donation cards. We are here because this is a kickoff and a fundraiser for our organization, and hopefully you will hear and see something that compels you to support us in some way. So most of you know the history of our Facebook group, McSally Take a Stand. Yeah, a lot of members here? Yay! So we've been resisting McSally through demonstrations, petitions, letters, calls to action, and even meeting with her and her staff to better facilitate constituent engagement. And you may have attended or seen our amazing town hall in Tucson. Yeah. Unfortunately, some of you know, she pulled a fast one and chose not to attend, and instead scheduled her own in Sahuarita at a time that people could not attend both. But many of our 1,150 members have become frustrated with our commitment to engagement. They're tired of demonstrating, they're tired of calling, they're tired of writing letters and getting no response. But don't worry, if you like to do all those things, there is an organization for you, and we'll talk about that more. But people were asking, what else can we do as an organization? So after McSally voted for the devastating and unpopular health care bill, and she did it with such ghoulish zeal, ignoring the needs and wants of the vast majority of her constituents, we declared that the time to engage is finished as an organization. And that day we registered a super PAC with the FEC, same day as the AHCA vote. So this event is a kickoff of that new endeavor, and many of our members were asking the question, who will run against her? And so we wanted to invite those who felt compelled to serve and represent our amazing district, and to come and meet you all. So please welcome those folks who have declared that they are looking into or have registered what their registration status is for running. So please keep in mind that when we announced this event, it was really intended for our group of tireless resistors. And so we kept it private for a long time on our page because we wanted to give our members a chance to register. And in doing so, the registration process became a little confusing, so I apologize for that. In the future, everything will be public, and it will be on our new Represent Me AZ public Facebook page as well as our website. So that's going to take care of that. And we want to thank the YWCA for their incredible hospitality. They've been amazing. It's a great space, and they've been incredibly welcoming. In the future, we will hold events at a larger venue when we are having candidate events. Okay, so tonight you will hear from several registered and hopeful candidates. They only have 5 minutes each to introduce themselves, but we have created a beautiful website that has a page for each of them, including their answers to an extensive questionnaire we have asked them to fill out. And you have lots of information on your chair, including our website, and you really should go check it out. It was just uploaded and went live today, and I want to introduce the woman who designed it. It's Jenny Pagano from And you're going to hear from Teresa, who many of you may remember from our town hall, who tirelessly researched and fact-checked Ms. McSally to the point where we're a little concerned about her. Nobody should dwell that much on one person, especially that person. Yeah, that one. Okay. But before we move on, we have a little treat for you. So we're going to play a little audio of McSally, how McSally feels about our constituents, and those of us who have genuine concerns about the federal government. I think we're going to play some audio. So just a little background.
Across the board to congressional and Senate, phone calls, emails. So it's what I would call it is because if you've got these, we're going to have 10,000 calls coming in. A veteran who's trying to actually get help with the VA, the voicemail's filled up by 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. because of the dynamics of it. So it's actually having a small staff who's trying to actually be working constituent services for those who are having issues with the IRS and the VA, trying to sort out the flood of email across the board through the organizational, individualguide.com, which is former Democrat congressional staffers, putting together a guide. We have members of Congress who are showing up to, do a ribbon cutting, and they're being accosted by people disrupting this situation, screaming, yelling, petitioning, following them and their children to their cars. Another female member of Congress with her children last week had people chanting, "We hate." We'll talk about individuals here. Like, this is what they're chanting at her. Because we are afraid of any of that. I'm getting really upset. But this is what happened nationally. I came down on whenever that was.
Okay, so we secretly taped a meeting with Martha McSally back in February when we invited her to come to our town hall, and that was her basically saying that any of us who were calling and writing were just trying to attempt denial of service. So we were trying to jam up her congressional office and her staffers. So that's how she, and I don't think her opinion of us has changed much. I think I can pretty much guarantee her opinion of us has not changed much, that we are a nuisance and that we get in the way of her getting her job done, in her opinion. So we're really thrilled to have candidates here who we think are going to listen to you and speak to the things that are important to you. We had a bit of pushback from folks about allowing a platform to anyone who's interested in running, but we're very committed to the right representation. And we feel this early in the cycle, having many voices and having these conversations early will make us all better at understanding what is needed. We are a diverse district, and a diversity of thought is important to the open dialogue of finding the right candidate. And who are we to squash anyone who is called to serve? A similar calling is what got so many of us in this room out in front of McSally's office on November 21st with signs demanding that she fight for the soul of our community. And we are grassroots, and grassroots we will be. So let's hear from our candidates now.
I think it might be better. Can you all see me here?
Yes.
Okay, that'll work then. Well, hello, my fellow Arizonans. I am Allison Jones. I've been quietly exploring a run for Arizona's CD2 rep for several months now, and I want to thank the organizers for allowing me to introduce myself in public for the first time in this forum. A little bit about me: I'm a scientist and an expert in water and environmental issues. I have a successful consulting career here in Tucson. I'm active in a number of scientific organizations, and I've served as president of the Arizona Geological Society. I'm on my neighborhood board and on a Superfund community advisory board to the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. My political activity has been low-key. I've supported candidates, gathered signatures, and helped with events. I'm a daughter and a caregiver to two elderly parents. I'm a sister and a wife, a stepmother, a boss, an employee, a volunteer, and a neighbor. I'm a backpacker and a river runner. I love reading, movies, and dogs. Here's where I stand. Economic inequality. The very wealthy are buying politicians, laws, and tax codes that make them even richer, at the expense of the middle class. When a nation's middle class is weakened, everyone loses. Henry Ford got it. He knew he was better off if his employees could afford to buy his cars. I will work to strengthen the middle class by evening out the playing field. Healthcare. I support H.R. 676, Medicare for All. Martha McSally's support of Trump care was a betrayal, plain and simple. 57% of Americans support universal health care because it's not only humane, it will end the financial drain. We are spending 18% of our GDP on health care right now. That's absurd. Reproductive rights. I'm pro-choice, period. Guns. I grew up in a house with guns, but I see no reason why we should not expand background checks. For example, the gun show loophole is ridiculous and arbitrary. This is just common sense. Military and defense. Today, our nation is without direction. There is no doctrine regarding when we will engage in war and how we will extract ourselves from one. Trump is willing to launch missiles as a knee-jerk reaction to the last video he's seen on Fox News. And he's alienating NATO. We need representation in Congress to keep him in check. I do think it would be a mistake to engage in a civil war in Syria. I do support sanctions and humanitarian aid. Throughout history, time and time again, great nations have gone bankrupt and fallen by the wayside by becoming engaged in far-flung, expensive wars at the risk of their own people at home. Let's not go there. Environment. This is where my professional expertise will be an asset. I will be a strong advocate for truth, reason, and science when it comes to water and climate change. I will challenge the alternative facts that Martha McSally is supporting, and I'm assembling a team of experts to help me prioritize those issues right now. I do have stances on jobs and the economy, education, equal rights, tax reform, but I want to tell you why I'm running. It's very simple. Martha McSally is not looking after your interests or mine. If Martha happens to be watching, I have some questions for her. Martha, how can you claim to support less intrusive government and still want to regulate who one can marry and what a woman can do with her own body? How can you claim to support family values and not support a same-sex couple who wants to provide a loving home to an adopted child? How can you say you support our troops and their families when you support a president who treated a Gold Star family like dirt? How can you espouse Christian values and then vote to make healthcare inaccessible to 23 million people while giving massive tax cuts to the ultra-wealthy? Martha, how can you sleep at night? This campaign will be the longest and the most important job interview of my life, and you all are the bosses who are doing the hiring. Here's why you should hire me. I will work tirelessly to advocate for truth and common sense in the interests of the constituents of CD2, not in the interests of the Koch brothers and dark money. I will bring analytical, scientific thinking to Congress. We must keep funding the scientific institutions that add so much to our lives. America is already great, and science is one of the reasons why. Number 3, I will hold town hall meetings in Tucson at least quarterly, and 2 in Sierra Vista, 2 in Douglas, and 2 in Benson each year. I won't hide from you. My name is Allison Jones. Please don't forget it. I'm in the exploratory phase, but I do look forward to meeting each and every one of you. Thank you very much.
Can I use this one? Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Marion, thank you so much for putting on this event. The people in this room, each and every one of us, is why we're up here. I can speak for myself, but I can also think that we all have the same values of Southern Arizona, and I think any one of us up here is a better representative than Martha McSally. My name is Billy Kovacs, and I'm running for this office because I was raised by a man that instilled in me honor, trust, and dedication to his community. My father was a small business owner, he was a teamster, and he is the biggest part of my life and why I am who I am. He moved me into starting my own business. He moved me into working for the university to advocate for students. He moved me into the community that I live in now to advocate for the people that are underserved. I've dedicated my adult life to this community every single day. Whether it was in Cochise County or Tucson or Arivaca or Patagonia, there was no lines in congressional districts to the need that this community needs, and I think that we can all see that now. Martha McSally's rhetoric, our executives' rhetoric, is something that are not American values, and they're not Southern Arizona values. When we look at communities like Douglas, Arizona, where a community is split in half by a border wall that is not only divisive, but it stagnates trade within our #1 trading partner. These are things that we do not stand for, Arizonans, and we do not stand for as people of this district. We look at people in Wilcox who are affected by water rights issues that not only we have to deal with in the rural parts of the state, which is one of our businesses as a family, but we're going to have to deal with these things in a long-term capacity when we talk about climate change and how it affects us and our water rights and our water as Arizonans. When we look at healthcare and the things that you hear from Martha McSally and Republicans and the lies that they push on us every single day in every single part of this community, you see that that is not us, and that should not be a partisan issue. These are things that we need to focus on. I am tirelessly working on this campaign for every single vote. It doesn't matter if it's in Wilcox, Patagonia, Sierra Vista, Douglas, Tucson, Oro Valley, Marana. even a few Republican votes out there. I think I have my parents who might vote for me. The verdict's still out. You know, I got in this race because I believe in every single person in this district has a voice. There's even that fly in my mouth has a voice. Every single person has an idea. When I go to these communities, people in Douglas have an idea. They have an idea about economic development and how trade and commerce affects their community. They have an idea in Tucson where there's multitude of issues that have to deal with different diverse groups of people in low-income areas and education and the things that we have lacked representation in. Those are the things that I stand for, and those are the things that I'm championing. I'm championing a conversation with constituents. I'm championing new ideas, a new direction, and a new voice for Southern Arizona that I think we can win an election, and I think that we can drive back sanity in this seat of representation that we haven't seen in a while. I'm going to leave the group with one thing. Our biggest issue as Democrats is we don't go out and vote in midterm elections. We can see it. We see it in every midterm. And I think that is one of our biggest issues. And I hope that this group, the amount of people that come out to support, the small groups like Indivisible and our elected leaders come out and we start talking about getting our young people, getting our aging population, getting our populations that haven't seen a representative at their door knocking in 4, 8, and 16 years. We see that all the time. I've knocked on doors and people say, "Who are you?" "I'm trying to gain your vote." "I haven't seen anybody in 4 years." "Will you have a conversation with me?" That's the things that we need to do. We need to be going out in the community, and that's what I strive to do. When we talk about town halls, I've already pledged to do 10. That's not just in Tucson, that's too in Sierra Vista, where you might have people coming out with other ideas, but that's where the conversation starts, is how to engage our communities. I thank you for coming out tonight, and I'll stick around, answer questions, stay here till the car leaves, and I appreciate you guys coming out.
Hello. I love the United States. I love living here. And I want to do whatever I can do to make it great. I mean, to just make it what it used to be, that progressive country that was evolving and just getting better and better and better. So, the founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, they built this country on the value of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We've kind of reframed those words, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, by saying everybody comes here, everybody's pursuing the American dream. The American dream. I feel like I'm a perfect example of the American dream. Let me tell you a little bit about my story. First of all, I'm native to this area. I grew up in this area. My parents were migrant farm workers. My dad had a 2nd grade education. My mom had a 6th grade education. I grew up in the farms out in Picacho and Marana. But they had an idea of the American dream. And that was made possible by the institutions of the United States. Those institutions that we want to make sure survive and are under attack right now. Let me talk about those institutions that make the American dream possible. Just a few of them. There's a lot of them. Just a few of them. Education. Free public education. We cannot survive as a country. We cannot move forward. We cannot give hope to those little kids that play in the dirt, that are in poverty, if we don't have good education for them. Very important. That is a lifeline that we are giving our future citizens. Health. You can't do anything if you aren't healthy. If you've got ear infections, if you've got infections in your teeth, if you've got sores, you need people to be healthy in order to move forward. So we need to make sure that this country continues to give that ability to people to go get health care. You know, I know what it feels like to have to suffer through an earache and ruptured eardrums. There's no reason why we, this powerful country, are not going to feel that compassion. So healthcare, we've got to make sure that those 23 million people stay on it. And I'll get into my future as far as I see that. Our rights, our constitutional rights. Pro-choice, equal pay for equal work, unionization. All of those rights are under attack right now. And they are given to us in the Constitution. So, here we are. Those are the things that gave me a lifeline. The ability to create a career in the military. I became a military spouse. I ended up going to Pueblo High School, University of Arizona, bachelor's and master's at the University of Arizona. Then I followed my husband around. But what enabled me to keep a career going, following him for 17 years? Equal opportunity. The fact that people were able to look beyond my color as a Latina, were able to give me a chance. So, throughout this whole career, I ended up in this honorable position of Assistant Secretary of the Army for Financial Management and Controller. My career was in financial management, accounting, and budget. President Obama nominated me and appointed me for that position. Every position in the Department of Defense, every single one, civilian or military, has a rank attached to it. The position I held was that of a 4-star general. What I ended up doing, not bad for somebody who came in the desert in Picacho, right? Not bad. And that's what the U.S. did for us. That's what our institutions did for us. And we need to do that for other people. And so in that position, I worked with, every time we rolled out a program, $240 billion I was responsible for. Every time we rolled out a program, or we killed a program, we worked with Congress. We worked with the Senate. We worked with the President and other executive agencies. So I know, the responsibilities I have, I know how a federal budget is put together, and I know how to defend one. And I know what the conflicting priorities are, and what responsibility we have to states to make sure that we in federal government do not oppress, their rights also. So why do I want to run? I want to run because I want other kids, other people to have the rights that I had, the education that was given to me, and the health care that I had. In the military, we had TRICARE, single payer. Right now, I have Medicare, single payer. So there's a lot to be looking at in that regard. But everything that was given to me was something with a lifeline that was given to me by a society that is under attack right now. The budget is cutting education. The budget is cutting environment. The budget is cutting health care. We've got to have somebody in Congress that will stop that. We need to be able to provide those. Okay, now the last thing I want to tell you is what my name is. I don't think I told you. I'm so sorry. Mary Sally Matilla. At the end is Aya. That's easy to remember that way, isn't it? So again, I just want to make sure that the well-being of our country is moving forward, and that is not going to be cut off at the knees like it is with this budget and like it is with this administration. Thank you very much.
My name's Charlie Burton, and I'm running for Congress. District 2 is not a liberal district. I know we've recently seen a huge backlash against Martha McSally, but don't let that fool you. District 2 is not liberal. However, this also isn't a conservative district. This is a swing district. This is a complex district. And the only way to represent a complex district is to be here, to talk to the people of this district, to listen. And when you get back to Washington, you have to do what they ask you to do. I know we're excited right now since the pendulum of the swing district seems to be swinging away from Martha McSally. You might see this as an opportunity to replace her with a far-left candidate, a hardliner dedicated solely to the progressive agenda. And yes, that would be satisfying for a term or two. But this is a swing district. And eventually the pendulum is going to swing back the other direction. And then we'll be right back where we are now. I don't want to win this seat for a few terms. I want to win this seat to keep it. I want to make sure we have someone in this seat advocating for civil rights, advocating for women, advocating for comprehensive health care for the foreseeable future. And that means having someone willing to advocate for these ideals, not just to Congress, but to the people of this district as well. And if I can't convince the majority of this district, then I need to be prepared to take a back seat. Communication, collaboration, consensus. That's how you stop a swing district from swinging. We can't admonish Martha McSally for not representing this district by electing someone who will do the same thing, but in the other direction. I'm not here to pander to you. My positions are probably the same as yours, but my point is that my positions are not the core of my campaign. I'm here to offer an alternative to the destructive party politics that have ground discourse in this country to a halt. The reason I'm running is because nobody else is offering what I'm offering. The other people in this race will offer to fight for Medicare for all, the environment, and education, and I'll fight for those things too, given the chance. But above all that, I'm fighting for a better vision of representative democracy. As your representative, I don't want to just fight for the ideals of the people in this room or for the Democratic Party. I want to represent this district, this whole district. If I can't convince the majority of this district that Medicare for all is the way to go, then I won't vote for it. Even though I believe in it. Even though I desperately want to see this country move toward true universal health care, I wouldn't vote for it if the majority of my district tells me not to. Because I believe even more strongly in a collaborative government. I believe that the most important job of a representative is to represent their district. That's what makes me different from other candidates. I'm fighting for a vision of how representative democracy should be. I'm fighting for the ideal that representatives should be in near constant communication with the people they serve. That's what being a representative is all about. Advocating in Congress, advocating at home, and above all, representing the people you serve. And that's why Martha McSally has failed as a representative. She doesn't really care what you think. She'll vote how she wants, no matter what you say. And she won't even let you know what she's thinking most of the time, so you can't even start the conversation. She hides from the people of her district because she's afraid of getting yelled at. That's not what a representative should be. They should be open, accessible, transparent, and sincere. If you believe in this message, if you want to see this district represented properly, not just for the next 2 or 4 years until the pendulum swings back the other way, but for the foreseeable future, then I ask that you follow me. Help me get to that position, and I'll show this district, this country, what it really means to be a representative. We need sincerity. We need transparency. We need a real representative. I'm ready to represent you. My name's Charlie, and I'm running for Congress.
Coming down? Want this one or this one?
This one.
Martin Luther King, 2 years before President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, described the urgency of the moment. I look at us where we are now as a nation, as a district, as a state, as a globe, and I follow the urgency of the moment. I had decided to retire from politics after being elected 3 times to the legislature and State House of Representatives. In the same area that CD2 sits, all of my district was in CD2. And I went with my entire family to Cuba. My grandfather was Cuban, by the way, I'm part Hispanic. And we were there, and I was going to begin my photography career again, and then Trump got elected. He got elected with enablers like Martha McSally, people that make it possible for this demagogue, this reckless and destructive person leading our nation, allowing him to do what he's doing because of the control the Republican Party has in Congress. That's what brought you here. That's what started Mary. That's what started Represent Me Arizona and Indivisible and the entire mushroom of organizations that said, what is going on? How did we get here? When globally we have a planet that is experiencing heat and destruction and rising sea levels and carbon dioxide pollution caused by human activity, I think we have to really, really come back to terms of who we are and address the issues that not only Martin Luther King mentioned, but that Ms. Mathieu mentioned of our founding fathers, who we are as a nation, and begin to not only have a debate, but to turn this around. So we cannot, in these times, sit and observe and allow enablers to take over our country, for the earth to get worse, for us to pull out of the Paris Climate Agreement, and to watch American leadership decreasing and not being taken seriously, and a warmonger who can't wait to start a war with who knows, Iran, North Korea, you name it, lobbing missiles at Syria for whatever last minute ego he had his ego bruised by. But I came back as you did. And so here we sit at this moment deciding what to do. I'm ready and eager and willing to do this again. I have interrupted my participation in politics 3 times. I was elected when I was 26 to the legislature. I got a job with the Tucson Airport Authority for 20 years, retired from there, raised my kids, and I'm going to brag about my kids because I have those bragging rights. Kevin and Jason went to Tucson Public Schools, and between them, they graduated and have master's and bachelor's degrees from Harvard, MIT, and Stanford. When I am judged someday, it will not be by what I did. By the way, with Randy Freeze, I want to recognize Randy Freeze is in the audience, state representative, House Assistant Minority Leader. Randy's the Assistant House Minority Leader, position I had for 3 years in the legislature. And so anyway, it's my children, and Jason just got his MBA from Harvard last week. So what world are they inheriting? And we began to have the discussions after the election. Dad, what are we going to do? Can I, in good conscience, can you, in good conscience, can at this moment of urgency, can we in good conscience sit and let people like Martha McSally and Donald Trump dictate our future?
No.
The future of our planet, the future of our state, the future of our district, the content of our education, the ability to love and marry who we wish to love and marry without laws saying we can't, the freedom to do with our bodies as we choose, as we decide based on our own morality and in discussions with our own families. Painful personal decisions ought not to be dictated by the government. And remember candidate Trump threatening women who would decide to have an abortion to punish them. CD2 is winnable. Let me tell you, you know already, Hillary Clinton won CD2 over Donald Trump by 5%, 15,000 votes. Matt Hines unfortunately lost by 42,000 votes. What does that mean? That means that on November 8th of last year, independents, persuadable independents, moderate Democrats believed falsely that Martha McSally was a moderate. That is not going to happen this year, next year. We know now through Trump Care, we know now that she won't even talk to us. We know now that she believes that we ought to get this bleeping thing done. She's a cheerleader for this horrible bill. I was proud on the floor of the House of Representatives last year to say we should have Medicare for all. And you know, Harry Truman fought for it in 1948 at the Democratic National Convention. And when Noam Chomsky was asked, do we have any opportunity, Noam, with the world that you describe, with the problems that we're facing, are you a pessimist? His answer was, no, I'm an optimist. Just think, 100 years ago, women finally got the right to vote. 100 years too late, but we got the right to vote. We have the Voting Rights Act, we have the Civil Rights Act, we have Medicare, we have Medicaid. We had progress from progressive Democrats in Congress and in the presidency, believing in education, a war on hunger, a war on poverty, and supporting unions, the right to arbitrate, the right to collectively organize. And we live in a right-to-work state that does not believe in those things. So when Noam Chomsky will lay out a picture of how bad things are, and he believes, as I do, as Kevin and Jason do, as you do or you wouldn't be here, that we are optimists, that we are going to turn this around, that we've been here before, and we're going to fight to become the nation that we truly are and the people that we truly are. I met with Robert Uribe, the mayor of Douglas, a couple weeks ago. And you know, they're hurting in Douglas. And this talk of a 20% tax or 20% adjustable border tax, or whatever it is that Trump is talking about, those things would devastate communities in Cochise County, in Santa Cruz County, in Douglas and Bisbee. It would separate families from Agua Prieta to Douglas. It would cause chaos and disruption in our economy in Arizona and across the nation. Mexico is our most valued trading partner. So Doug Ducey opposes this border tax. What is Martha McSally going to do? She owns Trump Care. She's going to have to own a vote on tax reform. And you're going to watch Republican ideologues come out and go to war against each other. Because some are going to support some taxes and some are going to support some other things. And it's going to be worse than what we saw with the healthcare debacle in March and again last month. She's going to own those votes. Because 2 years ago, she just could say, Obama, no, repeal. Well, she can't do that. They control and own everything. So she's going to have to own those votes, come back to you, and finally be held responsible by you and the other constituents. In a swing district like this, we can win. And in a swing district like this, I'm going to work my tail off together with people like you to bring this back and defeat Martha McSally. And the Paris climate change has 4 years to be enacted. In other words, for us to move ourselves from Paris. So in 2020, we must also defeat President Trump so that we don't lose that ability to influence the climate of this globe. Thank you very much, everybody.
Hi there. My name is Chris Wright, and first thing I want to say is I am pleased that there are 5 other people up here on the stage because it means all of us together have a range and a variety of ideas for you all to choose from. More ideas is better than, well, no ideas or only a handful. So it's not just work for us as the candidates, it's going to be work for you, intellectual work, figuring out who has the best ideas, who has ideas you agree with most. And like you said, I'm glad that I have 5 companions on this stage. I've heard things from all of them that I like, and hopefully you'll hear some things from me that you like. I want to begin by introducing myself and telling you who I am and why the heck am I up here anyway. As I mentioned, my name is Chris Wright. I graduated from the University of Arizona 30 years ago, last month, with bachelor's degrees in psychology, history, and political science. So I do have a clue. For the past 20 years, I've been working in corporate call centers. Okay, that's not really much to say, hey, I'm great about, but it's a middle-class income, it's a middle-class job, and I'm not ashamed of that because it's the middle class in this country that has grown the economy, that has driven the economy. It is 10 generations of middle-class Americans that have made this country the great nation that it already is. We don't need to make America great again. We need to make America greater than it is now. It's not about looking backwards to some nostalgic time when only rich white men had political power. Rich white men already have the political power. We need to move forward on that. I've been in Tucson for over 52 years. My father was in the Air Force. I was born and raised in the Air Force. As I said once, stick me and I bleed Air Force blue. I've learned a few things from my direct and sometimes indirect experience in the Air Force. If you believe in something, you fight for it. You don't give up. You don't just walk away because the odds look formidable or maybe even unwinnable. I won't give up. I'm not intimidated by well-financed and highly rated campaigns by people who have the Koch brothers as contributors or any other large political action committee as a financial contributor. That doesn't intimidate me. The bullying of party leadership does not intimidate me. Martha McSally and her high finance backers does not intimidate me. I'm not intimidated by a group of angry constituents because I believe they've probably got a very good reason to be angry. And any politician that does not want to listen to that, does not want to hear what they have to say, does not want to find out why they're angry and offer solutions, doesn't deserve to be the elected representative of those constituents. I'm not intimidated by crowds. I'm not going to run and hide. I'm not going to give lame excuses for why I can't attend a town hall meeting, why I won't schedule a town hall meeting. As a matter of fact, it may sound a little perverse or contrary, but I kind of like talking to angry crowds. Because if you don't talk to them, if you don't listen to them, how are you going to solve the problem? Now, all of us in this room are intelligent. All of us in this room are very well informed, otherwise we wouldn't be here. My colleagues up here are intelligent and well informed, and I applaud that. And the real issue here is not which of us is going to do better on this issue or that issue or some other issue. It's which of us do you think is going to do better on all the issues. Getting back to my middle class background, and I think that gives me an advantage because I have a perspective on middle class values and middle class priorities. I work a 40-hour week, even today. I came here from my job. I have bills to pay, just like everybody in this room. I have, I think, a very immediate and very personal understanding of financial priorities in a family, any family. We have bills to pay. We can't afford to have our money taken from us by ever-increasing payroll deductions, which don't really equal the return on investment that we are allegedly getting. We don't have the time or the patience for someday solutions. We're here and now. And getting back to the middle class were the people referred to in the preamble to the Constitution. We the people. We are all the people, not the rich, not the influential, not the socially prominent. All of us are the people. And we have a range of ideas and proposed solutions on how to address issues like the environment, healthcare, civil rights, that's fine. The more ideas we have, like I said, the better. And in the coming months, you're going to hear a lot from all of us about the ideas that we have. I'm about the future. A better future for everybody. A better future for the people in Cochise County. A better future for the people in Metro Tucson, part of the Congressional District 2. Well, none of us are going to get very far with our hopes and dreams for the future if we don't talk to each other, if we don't work with each other, if we don't listen to each other, if we don't have a conversation, a civil conversation with each other. And as I said, I'm not intimidated by angry crowds. I think that I can manage to have a civil conversation even with people who think I'm a thoroughgoing liberal, progressive, commie traitor. Well, you know what? It was liberals and progressives that built this country. It was liberals and progressives that had advanced the social and political culture of this country. I'm not ashamed of being labeled a liberal progressive, and I'm certainly no traitor. And I think I've probably just about used my 5 minutes, so rather than go over, I'm going to hand the microphone back to Marion and let her move on to the agenda.
Thoughtful words and for bringing ideas to light that are important to all of us and different, which was the whole point of having you all here. And so I want to give them another round of applause. And thank you so much for taking the time to think about what you wanted to say and to speaking to your constituents, potential constituents. Okay, so we're here to give the voice back to the people, and I think you heard a little bit of that from